Nope, no more bamps. So now I can piss that away on something else I probably don't need. Thing's hissing at me like a tomcat in the back alley. Yep. Throwing it back to 2002 here. And I don't know if half-assed is the right word. Hard to mount things and stuff if you don't have things and stuff to mount to things and stuff. Don't just paint, give it the Krylon touch. Cut it with a chainsaw. Boop, 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 boop. Ooh, Clarence Carter. Don't cut so fast. I can feel it in my bones. Actually, that's probably the steroid shot I had earlier today. We don't have heated seats and ventilated butthole blowers and all that. Yep, that's gone forever. Two trailer park girls go around the outside. DQ, that's what I like about Texas. Everybody else will be catching fish. You're gonna be sorting out a bird nest for the next half hour. Remember kids, motto for life, never pay full retail. That's what happens when you stuff 10 pounds of you-know-what in a 5-pound sack. It's like trying to snake out your toilet. Hate for this to rust away in the salty roads of San Antonio. And y'all got good Tex-Mex? Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. If you can't find a right wrench, find a crescent wrench. Horn blows, does the driver? Good morning, everybody. Welcome back, part 2, S10 build, LS swap, all that fun stuff. You saw part 1, we got the engine in the truck. Well, we got the engine built. I say built, we got it built. And we got it put in the truck. And got a lot of progress made with fitment, everything along those lines. So we got a lot to do in this video. I think right now what I'm going to start out with, and I kind of already got a little head start, was spark plug wires. We got the headers in already. We got one wire here that I can't get connected. I'm going to take the steering back loose, flip this guy around, plug it in, and then put the steering back on. I got these fancy ceramic whatever boot spark plugs and wires, and they work pretty good except for that one. And then this one here, she's buried in there. There's a dipstick in the way, so there's going to be some trickery involved in that one, but I think I got a solution sorted out, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. We got a block off plate to put on the firewall, so a couple other ones to make. We got a shifter to try to get in today, floors to clean up and paint, throw some rust fix on those. We got electrical. I want to start working on trying to get the wiring and MSD. I think we're going to start this morning with maybe the interior. Wire wheel the floor, get that cleaned up so I can go ahead and spray the rust fix and paint it and let that kind of dry and settle down. I'll do some of this other stuff. Then we'll circle back around to that. There's your corporate word of the day, and put the shifter in it. So, oh, and mount the seats. We gotta do seats too. So, all right, let's get back to work. Enough talking. You can never have too much pee-pee. Looks a lot better. Got the heavy scale cleaned up off of here. A few more holes may or may not have revealed themselves over here, but that's fine. The rust is just instantly dissolving, disappearing, turning into fresh new floors. Don't be afraid to get a little bit up on the pedals there. It just helps preserve the patina on them. Go ahead and blast her up in there real good. That hump real good. Sure, a little bit there. We'll go ahead and wait 5 minutes for it to dry. And time, okay, second coat. That's pretty good. This is already looking restored. Concours. We're taking this thing to Pebble Beach. This is just fixing all the transgressions. Just ignore that little spot there. Some on the frame. There we go. You want to preserve what? Ooh, a little on the headers. That's okay. Keep that stainless looking shiny. Be sure to use this in a well ventilated area. Another tech tip. Do we think it's fixed? It says right there on it, rust fix. So I'm just going to assume this is going to rebuild itself. And then we're going to put some paint on it, and all will be right with the world. Give that a few minutes to set up, cure, and then we'll come back in and rebuild the floors. Got this specialized race car flooring treatment. So we'll go ahead and start putting this down, see how this is gonna look. I am a professional painter, so don't try just any of this at home. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Light coats, that's what you want. Multiple light coats. There we go, finished product. New race car floor installed. I don't think it looks too bad. Made the rust look a hell of a lot better. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to get the seats installed now. These are our seats we snagged out of a S10 Blazer. I've kind of done some preliminary checking on it. These two studs for the bench seat, they line up perfect with the outer track. In the inner rear, it sits flat on the floor here, so that'll be easy enough to drill and bolt. But up in here, there's a little bit of a shape difference here, so we're gonna have to see what we need to do on that to get that right. But overall, I don't think it'll be too bad to get these installed. We need to do that for a couple reasons. One is we need to get the shifter installed and need to have the seat in place to tell where that needs to go. Two, I got to put a ignition lock cylinder in the column, and I need someplace to sit. I think this turned out pretty good, actually. Got it mounted in there. This side, like I said, bolts up perfect. No real trick to it. Right here, I just had to bend that front tab, kind of roll it with the floorboard. Put a few washers in between the bolt there, no big deal. And back here, there's like a washer or two in between that and the floor just to make sure it stayed level, but you could probably do it without it. And drill a hole and bolt it to the floor. We've even got the factory seatbelt holes here that will work with the retractors I got. I grabbed these out of an S10. They're for bucket seats. So that should work okay. I'll just bolt those right to the floor. Neutral, 3, 2, 1. Nope, no more bamps. What to do with this? This is for the wiring for the reverse light switch and our neutral safety, so we can be legal on everything. And I just kind of ran some leads on there. It's probably a little heavy gauge on that, but whatever, that's what I had. I'll put some wire loom on this and or duct tape it to the floor, I don't know. Route this up onto the dash, and the switch for the neutral safety is actually on the clutch on this thing. So I got to get up here, cut those wires, wire that in, trim the excess off, and I got to get into the column and find the one for the backup light. And this is the handy dandy block off plate I made out of what's left of a floorboard patch for a C10. And I know, I put rivets in it. I got a little fancy there, but you know, you're looking right at it. It's in the floor. If we race this thing, you know, tech might want to see something somewhat neat, maybe, or decent. I don't know. We do have to do some work over here, as you remember. We had a little bit more rust show up than what we thought once we hit it with the wire wheel. You know, that's just how it goes. We're back doing another U-joint again. So this one was not because I lost the needles or the needle bearings in it this time. It's because it's actually super bound up and tight. But I got the engine transmission mounted in this thing. I used the factory cross member in the factory location, and I tripped another breaker. All right, and I'll be right back. This is my life out here, okay? We just be tripping breakers non-stop, I swear. Anyhow, what I was gonna say was we got lucky. Pop this drive shaft in there and it is perfect. I mean, it's got probably, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 inches of travel left on the front yoke up in the tail housing of this Turbo 350. This is, for reference, if you're looking to do anything like this, it is Chinese eBay engine mounts, stock cross member, the stock transmission mount for the 5-speed manual, which I don't know, probably crosses over to some other stuff too, I don't know. Yeah, basically all I did was just line up the transmission cross member to the transmission, tighten the mounts wherever they landed in the front, and they cleared everything so far. I don't know, we got lucky. I was definitely budgeting to spend $350 to do a drive shaft, so we don't have to do that now. So now I can piss that away on something else I probably don't need. a brilliant idea by GM, really. Injecting molded plastic in here. There's some guy laughing his ass off every time he did this at the factory saying, there's some bitch in 50 years is gonna have to get out his MAP gas torch or burn this shit out of here. When he could have just popped the snap ring off. No, no, not do that. There's one. Splooged on out of there. Okay. Easy. Thing's hissing at me like a tomcat in the back alley. You know, they say gloves, they don't actually protect you from the heat. They just delay the response of the heat. I found that out on a saw blade underneath the C10 off the side of the highway in the middle of the country. True story. I always buy these things every time I find a good deal on one of these kits at Harbor Freight that's in the, you know, return, well, used to be a return section. Now they decided, at least at our stores, to put all this crap on the shelf in the right spots. It's pretty annoying. Need to file a formal complaint on that deal. How about 7/8? Yep. Yep. Sound like a cattle auctioneer. Yeah. She moved that time. Well, that's just like cheating. That would have been a lot handier in Oklahoma. There we go. What the? Ooh, Moog. They still made in America. It's exclusive for North America. Shit. Don't need no ball joint press. Okay. No, don't do that. Damn it. Ooh, got lucky. I think that's about as good as she gets. Well, this wasn't as excruciating as I had hoped. I'm just used to everything taking a long time here lately, it feels like, on this build. There's one. And dose. Okay, installed. Record time. All right. Next step. Factory drive shaft, long tail, Turbski 350. And we got a 2-finger gap. What is that, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, give or take, so that's plenty. Got this cool block off plate too that came with the truck. I didn't make this. I think a friend of the guy that owned the truck did. Made it out of an old stop sign or something, I think's what he said, I don't know. Block off plate installed. It turned out pretty good. We still got this hole down here. We're gonna have to probably make a plate for it because I doubt I'm gonna run any wiring through a hole that close to the exhaust. Inner fender should sweep right under here. So this might be our ticket somewhere in here, or maybe plate this and then drill something here, give or take, to route our wiring. Here's what you get with one of these MSD LS ignition controllers. Some couple harness thingies. I think one of these is a 24 or a 58 reluctor wheel thing. So I guess you use one of these two. This widget, this thing. And some mounting knobber things and some screws. You get a thumb drive, throwing it back to 2002 here. It's pretty cool. And a screwdriver. Your grandpa's pocket screwdriver comes with it too. So it says MSD on it. Got your tech line here. Already see we're off to a good start. But we got to find a place to mount this guy, and I'm gonna start sorting through the wiring. The original harness is kind of a mess. It's all there, it's complete, but it's mostly just emissions junk and TBI stuff for the 2.5. So I'll probably go ahead, work through it, thin it out, and eliminate all the stuff we don't need so it's not quite such a mess. This is the harness that connects to the crank sensor and the cam position sensor. This will be the one for left coil pack and right coil pack connectors here and here. And coolant temp sensor, which I don't think I'm going to use. Looks like all it does is can add and retard timing when the engine's cold, basically, and when it warms up. But it doesn't affect the base function. And I have mechanical gauges. That's going to use one of them. And on the other one, I have a thermostatic controller for the cooling fan. So I don't think I'm going to plug that one in since it's not totally necessary. But in routing this, these come out good right here. My options are not the best down here. That's too close to the exhaust. And this is kind of weird. We'd have to drag the wires all the way up over here, up over the firewall and back behind, which we could do, but I've got this perfectly good hole right here where the HVAC used to go through. I just got to figure out how to get the HVAC out of the way so I can use that. Well, things have escalated, but we did get the dash out. Another, mouse house here that I missed. And we got our boom booms made in Japan, Delco Electronics, probably pretty good, but none of this is going back in. A wood blade will cut plastic, right? I think it will. Ah! Okay, sorry, that was a two-handed approach there. And that's out. Okay, and we'll go ahead and put a light dusting. I went ahead and cut all speaker wires, HVAC wires, any unnecessary wires out of this. Removed our emergency brake since we don't need it. And I think we're down to basically the bare necessities. And then I think we're about ready to go back together with it. Here's what's left of the wiring under the hood. We've got it all labeled now, so there's just a few things that really I need to keep. Starter wire, this goes to our alternator on the charge side. This is our other alternator wires I'll keep. Maybe one's a field, I'll have to look and see on that, but I'm gonna need one of them on the LS alternator with the carb. Coil wire, I'm actually not gonna use this because the MSD wants a relay to power it, so we'll use a switch with the ground and we won't route it through the ignition switch. Same with this guy. This goes to the junction block. It's in rough shape, but we need that. This is all emissions garbage, TBI stuff. Don't need any of that. Don't need these. These were oil pressure, sender switches. We're running all mechanical stuff anyways. HEI, fuel injector harness, O2s, tack signal, something from the computer. Don't need it. Oh, fuel injector prime. This was apparently an AC for the AC, although this truck didn't have it. Apparently they all had it. I don't know. That's what my research tells me. Wipers, we need that. Fuel pump relay, we are not going to use that because this routes through the ECM on the original 2.5, so we're not going to use it. This was the brake backup light switch, which went underneath the truck to the original 5-speed. So we are going to use this. We'll wire that in to our brown wires that we've got on our shifter. So not much here to keep really. Most of this we're going to do away with. So I'm going to start chopping, whittling this guy down and tie this harness up, and we're just going to keep what we need. That's it. That's all we got left. It didn't take very long. Not much left to do it. That's all you need. That is all of what we removed, which was the majority of it. Welcome back. Another day on the S10. Been doing some wiring this morning. I'll show you a little bit of what I got going on here. We got our MSD box. Rest of the stuff tied up here and routed, kind of zip tied up over there. I'm about to start putting the block off plates in here, and then we got to do one under here where our old clutch slave was at, and put the dash back in so we can go ahead and finish wiring in the tack and whatever else we got going on here, fuel gauge. And what else did we do? Removed a few more things we didn't need. E-brake cables, exhaust brackets, that kind of junk. And got a couple other things over here I'll show you. I'm going to use this. Decided what I'm going to do is use our old key hot for our coil and tie it into this, and then we're going to run relays for everything here. So we'll run a master relay from a constant hot from the battery to trigger this, so we're not running the load through the ignition switch. from the old coil key hot. And then we got an MSD relay. We'll have a fuel pump relay. Maybe fans. I'll have to see on the fan wiring. I've got a kit here somewhere, but I may need some for fans. And then we'll end up having to run an exciter wire over to the alternator from that guy. I ended up cutting the 2 wires off here. I showed you that I was going to keep the brown and the pink because I hooked up my jumper box here to power, turn the key on, turn the key off. The pink wire was hot when it was on and off. That's not going to work. We need it to only be key on. And the brown wire didn't do anything because it's not hooked through the gauges anymore, so it had just trace amount of volts. So I didn't use it either anyways. All our power wires that normally went to the back of the alternator here, they just kind of work out better routing them back to the starter. So I'm going to run them back around to the starter, and then we don't need that other feed up here to the bulkhead. There's nothing else that's drawing power off that main harness with how we have this set up anymore. There's no HVAC, no trailer wiring, no, none of the stuff that would have used that originally. So we're doing away with that. That's going to fit nicer, neater down there. And basically all we have to do under here is wire in our relays, our junction box, and kind of tie all that into the battery. I've got the MSD wires routed out here. And then we need to get the front clip on this thing really so I can get the battery where it needs to be and then start kind of situating everything from there. Okay, we have moral victory, success. All of the block off plates are done. A couple of those guys in there, expertly crafted. Ignore that extra hole right there. Ignore that. This guy blocked off. These little arm tear offers, I left those in there for good measure, keep it entertaining. And this is some handiwork I did here on the floor. Our plug goes in the floor, but it was all rotted out around it. But anyhow, this is off of a C10 patch panel. Actually had a nice little divot here, so we kind of line that up. And then our last one right there. So I think we're done with the patch panel. So it's time to go ahead and start getting the dash put back in this rig. Well, slowly but surely, our interior's coming back together, I guess. And this is kind of just, I don't know if half-assed is the right word. It's certainly not whole-assed if we're comparing assiness levels of work. But the main goal here is to have a functional-ish looking dash, and that's about it, because it doesn't really do much. We're not using any of the gauges. This is literally not even connected, and I don't have any plans to connect it. Except for this, I do want to connect our SIG lighter here, because we might need that. Well, back at it today. We need to get this front end cleaned up so we can get this back on. Some of the wiring stuff, I really need the front clip on it to tell where it's supposed to go, and get the battery in, route the cables, all the stuff, mount things and stuff. And it's hard to mount things and stuff if you don't have things and stuff to mount to things and stuff. So we're gonna hit her with a little of our Purple Magic here, Castrol, whatever this is, Purple Power, and let her soak, drag out the power washer, go to town on it. And I picked up some paint, and we're gonna do a little so let's get to soaking here, give her a minute, and then we will drag out the big guns. I guess we can hit a little under here. Key on, check. Choke on, check. Fuel on, check. Fueled up, check. Water on, check. Rust-Oleum 2X semi-gloss black. That ought to do it. And we'll go ahead and edge her in here. It's a little wet under here. It's fine. Oh yeah, it's gonna look good. Gonna look good. Gonna look like a brand new S10. Don't just paint, give it the Krylon touch. Our sins are disappearing in front of us. Washed away in the Rust-Oleum. Like Michael Jackson, one glove. That's all you need. It's ought to dry quick out in the sun. I'm sure it says not to do this in direct sunlight, oh well. Yep, she's restored. Frame off. Just did her myself. She's gonna look mean. I might have to put a billet grill on this thing. Might screw around and make it look too good. We'll just take her right back to the 90s. Uh-oh, gotta run. Resand it. Start over. Probably getting overspray on every car I own. I think that's it for the painting. So we're gonna let this dry and we'll get back to the wiring. Well, back at the wiring, this is our kick-ass gauges we got for like $17 at Advance. Thanks, Advance. And I figured out a pretty cool deal. This was the radio adapter widget that I dug out of the trash. And this guy, you may not be able to tell, but it fits back there. Anywho, it fits here. And what I discovered was this will work really good since, you know, we don't need a radio where we're going. This guy fits in this bezel pretty good. We'll just screw that in right there, kind of center it up, and boom. Gauge is right there. And then this fits, of course, through the back of this guy, something like, got enough hands for all this, something like that. There you go. That'll look pretty good, not bad. And then we'll mount that guy up here. We got a tack here too, I forgot to show you that. The Summit tack, got a little shift light on her, a knob, and a little cheapo tack. So we got to wire that guy in. More wiring, trying to get the inside cab area wiring done, and we've pretty much got it all preliminarily wired here. This is the conglomeration I came up with for all the gauges. So I just tied all the grounds together in one fitting, one heat shrink fitting, put it on a spade, and we'll connect that to the ground inside the truck. That's for all of our lights and electricals and everything that needs a ground, basically. And then we'll connect, you know, these to the gauges where they go, to the lights where they go, and so on. And I think we got what? These are our light power wire feeds for all of our lights for when the headlamps come on. Turns all our gauge lights on, same thing. And then we got one for just our constant power feeds for our voltmeter, fuel gauge, and tack on its own deal here. And terminated these guys with some spades to plug in to the, I don't know, female spades on the other end that I did. So again, we got a ground, we got our illumination, and we got our key hot for the gauges. So from our old radio wiring, and I think that's it. All we got left is this guy here, tack wire. We'll wire him into the green on the tack, and that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this mounted. Oh, I did mount our bracket for our fuel gauge right there, drilled a hole back up in here to feed the light through. And I know it's a little bit crooked, you may not be able to tell, but that's on purpose. That's you know, you want to aim that towards the driver because you don't want to run out of gas, so you really need to be able to see that. We've got our ignition switch here wired up, our TWIDEC. We've got this side rigged up into one eyelet, so we'll throw that guy on the dash bolt underneath there, ground that guy. And then the other side, I just put 3 leads on it, so it'll make it easier to get to this guy, and I'll take the switch panel back out, and we can just wire our accessories into here. We'll have ignition, fuel, maybe a fan, maybe nothing. Drilled a hole right there, so expertly crafted, looked like I cut it with a chainsaw. Switch panel mounted, I don't think it turned out too bad. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. There's our wiring, ready to go. I got 3 out of 4 screws in there. That's not too bad. Missed it just a little on this one. Now we got to get back to getting all this stuff installed, but the wiring is done and it is ready to go back in. Okay, key on. Voltmeter works. And headlights on. Boop. There we go. And even our rheostat works, as you see. Pretty cool. Actually works like it's supposed to now. What a concept. We got our fuse block. We got 6 fuse holders here. Probably should have got a little bit bigger one, but it is what it is. And we got a pack of relays. So I got 6 pack. I think I got another one in here somewhere. So I think we're gonna need 5 for what we're doing. We're gonna have 1 for the MSD, 1 for the fuel pump, 1 for each fan, and we're gonna set up a master relay that's gonna turn this guy on. Basically so that we can use the old coil wire, the key hot pink wire, to excite a master relay, which turns this whole unit on, where all this is going that way. The pink wire is not carrying all the load, and we're just running the red wire from the battery right to here. So we've got, you know, simple setup. Then we can run everything off this. So essentially you're gonna have MSD, fuel pump, fan 1, fan 2, and then exciter wire for the alternator and electric choke. That is, in my head at least, that's what I've envisioned. So I don't have anything drawn up, so I'm just gonna kind of wing it as I go. This is our preliminary fuse relay panel widget that I talked about. This will be mounted on the right fender, kind of up near the battery, and so on and so forth. And master relay, 2 fans, and a fuel pump MSD or MSD fuel pump, vice versa. I haven't figured that out yet, but it's all wired in, like I talked about, to be triggered off of the. This one will be the pink wire from our old coil key hot, and this will be from the battery to keep a constant hot. And then this relay will trigger and operate the other 4. And that's pretty much it. Blue is going to go to the load, which is going to be your whatever, your fuel pump, your MSD, and grounds. These 4. The fans are going to go through a thermostat switch in the block, or the head actually, to operate. I may wire in a toggle too to override it. And then we just got grounds for the MSD and ground for the fuel pump to run through a switch through the dash. So that's about it as far as that goes. That should get everything we need there. I do need to run a charge wire from the battery stud down at the starter up to the back of the alternator, because I'm going to use the S10's battery cables on the passenger side, because LS stuff is on the driver's side, and it's easier for me to run an extra charge wire, or not an extra one, but to rerun a charge wire versus move the battery. So we're gonna do that. But we need the front clip on it to do all this stuff. So I think I've got it to pretty much where we need the clip on it to kind of finish wiring this stuff. I think tomorrow that may be the project. I got a doctor's appointment, go get a steroid shot in my back in the morning. So I might not be doing anything tomorrow, but I might. So anyways, that's all I got for today, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, or good afternoon, welcome back. I had my lovely assistant, aka my wife, help me get the front clip back on this rig. So she kind of looks like a full truck again. Looking sporty. And we discovered in the process, which I had some concern about, but I didn't realize how much the S10 front clip really slopes down. I don't know if you've seen the problem yet, but it looks good. Everything else seems to fit. Front end lines up really good, but that will allow me to go ahead and main thing was to finish up our wiring. I'm going to wire our conglomeration that I came up with and showed you yesterday, I guess, in this ballpark here somewhere, and then we can go ahead and mount the battery tray and all that crap and kind of line that back up. Well, I got distracted. Set the hood on the front end, and I think we might be able to get this to clear. We're real close. So, well, we're like that close, but it's closer than I would have thought with the curvature of the hood to clearing that alternator. So I went ahead and marked it with the hood on, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut this brace out. And I think, I don't know, that might be enough to clear it if we cut this brace right here. So that's gonna be the idea anyways. So I'm gonna do this, and then we'll try it and see if it fits. So here we go. I love the smell of burnt lumber. She's clearanced. Woo, Clarence Carter. Don't cut so fast. I guess let's try it and see if it looks like we have any chance in hell of this working. It'd make me feel good if we did. All right. latched, gapped, positive gapage, pretty good gapage. That's give or take about right. Ish, close-ish. Okay, roughly, very roughly. So we need to trim her back. This is gonna work, boys. This is gonna work. I can feel it in my bones. Actually, that's probably the steroid shot I had earlier today. Take it easy, they said. Yep, this is me taking it easy. Gonna just take it easy right underneath the hood of this S10. And we're gonna draw a line right there. A happy little line. Let go. Yeah. Ah, there we go. Okay. Now it's in, I think. Oh, hey. Oh, it's like it's like resting on it. And I believe the alternator might just be just sort of like, yeah, she's hanging out right there. Yeah. I'm wondering if the other alternator, the one with the, I think the smaller one, I'm pretty certain this flat face one is the high output alternator, which is a little bit bigger than the lower output alternator, which is plenty for what we got going on here. We don't have heated seats and ventilated butthole blowers and all that. So I think we're good with the bare minimums on the power just to run our fans and our MSD. I'm gonna go look at the brown truck and see. I think I have a smaller alternator on that one and see how it compares to this one. Let's go take a field trip. Poor truck's filthy. Okay. Oh yeah. That looks a lot smaller, I believe. Not even 3 inches to the top of that from the center. Let's go check our other one. Measured the other one from here, the center of the shaft to the top, highest protruding point of the alternator. And I think this guy's about 1/4 inch taller from here to here than the other style alternator. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is on this. So we may have to swap out alternators. I don't really want to buy a new alternator. These aren't terribly cheap, but it's 25% off at the Junkyard this weekend. So maybe I'll snag one out there. Hate to use one of these guys as a core because they're fine. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a core right here. Our old alternator off our S10. I'm not going to use that for anything, I don't think. It's not the typical one-wire style that I use on the older stuff. So I could probably use that as a core. So there we go. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll get a Junkyard one, find a smaller one, and do that. But it's going to clear. At least we know now the bracket's fine. We can keep that stock bracket. It will clear. Watch the good times get a little better. No ball and chain for the suits and skirts. Just drinks after work. Have a little drink after work. A little Toby Keith for you. So we've got our conglomeration here to mount. I think she's gonna go somewhat like this. If we can snake her on down in here. Yeah, it looks pretty promising. I think that'll work. Yeah. Ow. Ow. Yeah, oil fill right to the forehead. Ugh. Ow, that hurt. Woo. Probably leave a mark. It's date night too. All right, we're back. Drilled out. Had to hog out the old holes here a little bit. So our hogging is complete. And let's see if we can't self-tapper, pole barn garage our way to success here. Well, that was aggressive. I didn't need it that aggressive, bro. I'm just trying to, mount a piece of plastic here. Not secure a rocket booster to a space shuttle. That looks straight? Yeah, it looks straight. Straight enough. I guess it's a good time to say that the primary goal right now on this truck is to get it running and driving to where we can have fun with it. We can take it out on the streets, we can drive it around, do our thing. And ultimately I want this to be like a drag and drive, duct tape drags, kind of, you know, something we can go out and have some fun with, make a little content with, blow the tires off of it. Hell, it might even be a good burnout truck. It'd be perfect for that too. You know, we'll figure something out, have some different events to do with it. But right now I just kind of want to get it to the running, driving, everything's good. Later on down the road, I'd like to swap the rear end, put an 8.8 in it, maybe put some Caltrax or something on it. Because she's not gonna have any traction right now, it's just gonna spin. But it'll be fun. In the meantime, spinning's fun, makes a lot of smoke. Yep, that's gone forever. All right, how's that look from over there? Does it look good from where you're standing? Making our way downtown, watching fast wiring trucks. No, we're not making our way downtown, but we are wiring. I'm running choke wire right now, and also from my American Auto Wire kit, I found one that says electric choke on it. So I'm gonna assume that's the right gauge because American Auto Wire said it was. This will be the eclectic choke. That's one of them chokes that's, you know, eclectic. And I think right there looks like as good a spot as any to put her, or him, they. I don't know what a electric choke's identifying as these days. Your guess is as good as mine. What I'm using here is just some zip ties real loose on all this stuff to kind of roughly keep the shape of a harness I'm essentially making. It kind of makes it a little bit easier because we got wires going both ways. We got stuff going this way and stuff coming this way. So this is just loosely held on to kind of a rough outline so we get the links right so they don't wad up and bunch up when we go to, you know, wire loom this whole deal. Yeah, I'm using wire loom, but it's going to be the cheap kind, don't worry. And it's going to be stuff I had left over. I didn't buy it for this. Okay, that'll get our electric choke. And we need our alternator charge. Let me set these down before I dump this down the intake. Get this out of here before I get confused. I'll have this hardwired in before I know it. And this is one of those resistor wire things. You can buy it from Holly if you want to, you know, get the name brand or whatever, but I don't. So I brought it from Beijing and it'll do the same thing, I think. Maybe. Take a gander, 4-pin connector. It's gonna plug into our LS alternator here. And it's just a 1-wire job, and this has got a built-in, I think a 1/2 watt, something or other ohm, 500 or 400 or some kind of ohm resistor restrictor into it. That's kind of above my pay grade on electronics. So all this is really looking for is just, it needs a key hot to excite our alternator, but you can't send 12 volts to it because you'll make it explode. Something like that anyways. She plugs in right there and she'll route around here. 2 trailer park girls go around the outside or around the back side. This might look kind of neat, but you should see what's under the dash. I did all that all over on the workbench, so I didn't have to crawl around underneath this thing. So all the wires are the wrong length. The connections are nice. Everything is the way it should be as far as electrically, but there's way too much wire. So I'm just gonna kind of, you know, like on Christmas Vacation when old Clark hands Russ that ball of wire and says, here Russ, work on this knot. I'm just gonna kind of take all that and just kind of push it all into one ball and just jam it up in there and just start wrapping zip ties around stuff. That's essentially what we're gonna do. And I think that'll work. Now this stuff's the money maker. You know, this is when you pop the hood at the old Dairy Queen. You want to show off what you got if you're into what people down at the Dairy Queen think of your stuff. DQ, that's what I like about Texas. I need another hand, I mean. Wouldn't that be something if you had 6 fingers like them cats? I went to Key West one time and got to go see that Ernest Hemingway house. That's an interesting guy. But anyways, there's a bunch of 6-toed cats running around there if you ever get a chance to go down there, check that one out. You guys think a 5-amp fuse is probably right for the alternator excite charge wire? I think that's probably good. Y'all let me know in the comments if I'm crazy. It's like a bird nest when you You know, you don't keep your thumb on the reel. Gotta keep that thumb on the reel. You don't want to pay the price. Everybody else will be catching fish. You're gonna be sorting out a bird nest for the next half hour. Good morning. Welcome back to another day with our S10 6-liter LQ9 LS swap build. Today we got to get back onto our wiring, kind of finish that up. I know we started that here a couple days ago. Didn't get a chance to do a whole lot this weekend. But the only thing I really did do was we did get the wiring done, added in to run to our switches for our grounds, for our fans. So basically what I got left and what you're looking at here is we've got the last 3 wires of our relay array to wire up. One for each fan for hot, and then this is going to be from our battery hot to trigger our master relay. So we've got to work on that. And of course we've still got our fuel pump bird nest here and some plumbing to do. And we got to get our fans wired in. And I think we're going to be able to get this thing ready to start sooner rather than later. That's the goal. Let me show you what I did here. I went to the junkyard yesterday. That was most of my day. We got a new armrest, huh? New to me armrest. 25% off day at the junkyard. Got a little switch panel here to fill that hole on the dash that I lost the other one. Or actually I threw it away and shouldn't have. Another one of these guys, the one on there, these are broken on the back, so the switch just kind of flops around aimlessly. So I figured, hey, why not? Negative cable just kind of ran across this on a 2.8 S10, and it's pretty much the perfect length for the LS, for the block. The one I had is up here. This was with the 2.5, was just way too long. So I think we can use the positive cable off this setup. I'm trying to keep this a budget build, you know. Oh, new alternator. We got a new small alternator, so I think this will give us a good bit more hood clearance, as you can, I don't know if you can tell or not. Pretty good difference on size, so I think, you know, if we get another ½ inch, that will be plenty. And, oh, last but not least, it's in the back of the truck still. I snagged an 8.8 out of an Explorer, 8.8 rear end. So it's a 373 posi rear end. Looks to be in really nice shape, so I snagged that guy too. That's not going to be in this video, but probably the next time you see the S10, that might be something we do. Or maybe even be its own video. That's probably going to be a pretty good undertaking, because I do want to cut it down on the one side and run the 2 passenger side axles. So that'll be coming eventually. But right now, today and the next, maybe tomorrow, the goal is to just get this thing running, hear it bust off. And that's probably how we'll end this video once we get to that point. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. Thanks for coming back. Here's our negative cable I stole from the S10 at the junkyard. Don't worry, I paid for it. It's 25% off day. Remember, kids, motto for life: never pay full retail. What is that, 15? Sure. Okay. Metallica wiring. Okay, something like that, give or take. Yeah, that's gonna work out about right. Okay, wiring is pretty much done, other than, like I said, the fans, which we'll start on here soon. I've got to wire in our electric choke here, but that's it. That's what we've got. You've seen all this already, but it's all loomed up now. Looks pretty decent. Not too much terribly exposed, a little bit back there, but yep, got the ground cable on for the engine. MSD stuff's all ran, factory stuff's ran. I just got to connect this. This goes right here. This is just for the rear lamps. I'll do that at the same time when I do put the front lamp harness in. It'll run here and kind of snake around, and I think it comes on actually on this side. This was a fuel pump lead wire. It's ran all the way to the back of the bed for the fuel cell. And I was gonna save the radiator for another day, but we can't really start this thing until I get the transmission cooler lines connected. And we can't get the transmission cooler lines connected until I have a place to connect the transmission cooler lines, which is the radiator on this one, because I'm not running an external cooler right now. So that said, I kind of need to get it installed. That's going to take a little bit of fabrication, make some brackets, a little bit of modification to get our fans in. Messed with these a little bit this morning, as you can see, trying to figure out the logic on the wiring on these things. These are just Dodge Intrepid fans. Pretty common, I guess, and this kind of stuff. Different, different GM swaps. They seems to fit the 4.3 radiator pretty good. So we'll just have to do a little bit of modifications to the shroud, get this mounted, may have to make a couple of brackets, no big deal. And I think I've kind of got the logic figured out on the wiring, the way I want to do it. These are set up to run off of the ECM ground, it looks like, for a high and a low. We're not doing that. We're switching these off of power, and we're doing it high only for both. So I'll cut the pigtail off, we'll rewire a couple things, won't use all the wiring, but we'll use what we need to make it run full bore all the time when the fan's on, so we don't need anything else. These little guys are in the way, so I think what we're gonna do is remove them. Let's see how gracefully I can do this or not do this. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Wasn't too bad. Miss. Nailed it. Is it gonna fit? It's like an 1/8 inch too wide. That's gonna be kind of in the way too with our radiator hose. We're gonna need to do a little clearance carter there. Okay. Quite the precision tool we got here. This is a special blade we're using too. This is a specifically for fan shrouds. Can you make another one? No, airball. Okay, now let's see. Okay, that looks a lot better. She's just about an 1/8 inch too wide. That sucks. This part right here is what we need removed. I don't know if you can see this guy, right? This little sort of square here. How to screw up a perfectly good brand new fan shroud. And now we can slice and dice our way through this way, maybe. Oh yeah, this is like carving a turkey. Oh yeah, I see them do this at the grocery store. I could totally get a job down at the deli. Oh man, when you're good, you're good. Woo! Should fit our hose now. Yep. Okay, our hose will definitely fit now. Clear. That's clear. It's clear. We're all clear. Clear, clear, clear. Okay, this is our CAD design I've come up with here for our upper bracket that's going to go do this, do this, do this, and do this. And should have some holes to do things to mount the fan shroud to the radiator support on the bottom. A much more simple CAD drawing needed from here to here to here to here to here to here, and that should do it. It is a tight fit. I've already tested this guy out. To pull the harness loose, we're going to end up routing, this is the bottom down here, we're going to routing this wiring out the bottom over to our fuse center area, and then right here the snout on the water pump pulley is very close. It doesn't touch, but it is very, very close. So I'll probably come in and maybe trim, some of this material out on the inside, trim that back, and maybe this one too, just to kind of give us a little bit of clearance here, and then I think it'll fit. We do need to trim this one side. I've kind of marked it right here, so we're going to have to come in and cut that one down right there along this lip, so let this kind of inset a little bit better and shift over this way, which will help too. There's our preliminary lower mounts. Kind of can see those down there. Aluminum strap, and then there's an L kind of hook that I will screw from the bottom into the shroud to pull that up tight. Basically that's what we got going on both sides, so it's not even actually resting on any rubber saddles or anything here. And we're gonna make something similar on the top, and it'll kind of come down, over, down, and over essentially, and then We'll bolt it in here and then screw it in, or bolt it in right here. Screw it in right here into the shroud, and that should hold that in place. Do a couple of those here. As you can see right now, or can't see, it's very tight on the shroud to that upper pulley. So what I'm going to do is make another notch right here, about a 1/2 inch, so I can slide this whole thing that way. We get about a 1/2 inch, and that will get us what we need in our clearance to pretty comfortably fit here. And then hopefully the goal is if I can slide that far enough this way that we don't have to do any notching here to clear our cap. I can give me enough room. I can just lay this forward a touch to where we can get the cap on and off of it without having to do that. Worst case scenario, I'll have to come in here and just do a little notch right here to clear the cap. It's gonna be tight. Like I said, everything's tight, but you know, that's what happens when you stuff 10 pounds of you-know-what in a 5-pound sack. And these are the brackets ended up coming up with. Bent these guys up out of this aluminum, and essentially how this is going to work. This is going to sit something like that. We'll bolt it to the radiator support. This will sit kind of saddle the top of the radiator. Then we'll self-tapper this to the front of the radiator right here, which will hold itself in place. And the goal is to get the shroud to slip over the top of this. Then we can put a self-tapper through the shroud into this. So essentially we have 4 tabs, 2 on top, 2 on bottom to hold the shroud. These self-tappers will hold the radiator to the bracket, and the bracket will be bolted to the radiator support. So that should work pretty good, I think. And then of course we got our 2 tabs down on the bottom here. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave it for today. It's about time to go in. I'm gonna clean these guys up, get them painted up, make them, I don't know, make them look a little bit professional, I guess. And then tomorrow I need to go pick up the bushing so that we can put this idler set up. I'll show you that tomorrow, but it'll essentially go through this last head bolt right here. There's a long bolt, another idler pulley, the same pulley as this, a spacer, some shims, a bushing. Anyways, roundabout way, there'll be another pulley right here that will basically mimic or roughly mimic the power steering pulley that is no longer there, because you can't just take that off and run this truck serpentine setup because of the angles, they won't work. So you got to have something over here to do that. That is what we're trying to accomplish, and we'll work on that tomorrow. Try to get that in and then get the fans in, but I think that's it for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hey, good morning everybody. Got a little bit done yesterday, but I had a buddy over here helping me do some stuff in and out, so I didn't really get a chance to film a lot of it. But I'll just do a quick walk around, show you what we got done. Mainly was the cooling system. Well, not the whole cooling system, but at least got the radiator and the fans in. This guy's just sitting up here. But it was a tight squeeze. We had to shimmy it over here to the left, and then, but we got a good, you know, 1/4 inch clearance there. Oh, we got our belt on and our idler pulley set up over here. If you can kind of squeeze this guy off here out of the way. Yeah, get off of here. Yeah, there we go. There's our idler pulley setup, and essentially it's just a long bolt through there into this lower head mount, or lower mount for this bracket into the head. It's another idler pulley. It's the same as you have over here. Actually, it's a tensioner pulley. Same as that pulley on the tensioner, with a spacer, a washer, and there's a bushing in here. And I'll link this stuff in the description on the video. So if you've got one of these S10s, or any of them really, if you're needing to do a power steering delete, but you still want to keep the truck brackets, this will help you do it. You may have to play with the spacing a little bit. For me, it was just one washer plus this spacer. And they make these bushings, spacer bushings, in different lengths, so you can kind of, you know, play around and get what you need there. And they come with a pack of, I don't know, I think 5. Last shoot, I got 4 of these guys left over. That's all it is. I did have to drill out the center to 10 millimeter. It comes as a 3/8 by, I think, 3/4. I think these are like, I don't know, 1/16 or something long, but roughly that. These were the bolts I used. These jobbers came with a 4-pack, so I got enough to do almost, you know, 3 or 4 other setups here. With that, you just order your pulley, and the bushings come in a 5-pack, and nothing really to it. It went together pretty good. The belt's almost perfect. It's not even halfway on the tensioner, so we're dialed there. Radiator's tight. Cap will come on and off with where we've got it set up. So we've got, got good clearance there. Didn't have to notch anything here, and I mean, it's tight. It's about as tight as you can get it in there, but it fits. It seems to fit. So, oh, we got a new Never Start from Walmart. You guys have heard me talk about the deals there. That's in. We just got to wire up our lead here over to this guy so we can power our conglomeration of electrical business here. And I did go ahead and we were, kind of on a roll, so we got the headlights put back in so that I could permanently mount the battery and not have to mess with all that again, because you can't really get to the plug on the headlight in these things with the battery in it. And we got the front wiring in. And they work, mostly. I think this park light's a little finicky. I'm gonna have to get a flasher for the turn signals because they do not work, but it's coming along. What else did I do yesterday? Oh, new switch panel. The Junkyard switch panel installed, so now our headlamp switch doesn't try to fall into the dash when you turn them on and off. And oh, filled the hole. We got this guy put on here, so I'll probably put a phone mount or something on that, but that's in. Show you the interior, mostly done. I mean, oh, I do have a new armrest to put on, so we'll kind of fix that up. Wouldn't want to not have an armrest here. I mean, look at this beautiful interior. This is 10 out of 10 right here. The dash, I don't hardly see a crack in it. I mean, it's pretty straight. What's left of a Seether sticker on the glove box door, that's pretty cool. We got our bucket seats. We got our D&M Z-gate shifter. I mean, that's looking pretty. I see that MSD peeking in under there. But yeah, it's coming around. Oh, here's another one I forgot to show you. Tail lights, took these off, got these guys. I think they had a bulb or two burn out here, so we got that kind of some more expert level electrical tape wiring that I may or may not take care of. And oh, we got our cowl put in last night too. Got this guy reinstalled, went ahead and removed the rest of the wiper, whatever business. If you don't have one yet, get yourself some comically long extensions. Like I said in a previous video, I think, probably, you may kind of think, hey, I don't need that. Until you're like right here working on stuff that normally you'd be buried down in there trying to get to. And then you will thank me for owning a set of comically long extensions. Now let's connect our grounds. Reverse procedure. Red and green, looks like Christmas Eve in my engine bay. Let's see what we got in the old cabinet of doom. I think that is perfect. Watch out, you'll lose an eye with this stuff. It's like trying to snake out your toilet. That is that. I need to zip tie that on the bottom. Figure out where this can come to a merciful end. I think that's it. I think that's our wired up harness for up front. Okay, moment of truth, I guess. Key's got to be on for any of this to work. Here we go. Oh yes, wrong one, sorry. That's fuel pump is number 2. There we go. Yeah, they blow pretty good. Let's feel that. Let's go check it out. So that's our manual override for our fans. Oh yeah, they pull some good air. Nice. Oh yeah, that moves some air right there. Here, let's see. Let's see if we can do a test for you. There we go. Oh yeah.
She is moving some air. Nice.
Now let's test and see if they turn off with the key as they should. Yep, there they are. So our relays work as they should. Should have ignition there, but we won't know that yet, I guess, till we start it. And that would be our fuel pump. Let's go check our fuel pump. The second guy here is fuel pump. Let's go make sure we got. Yep. 12.24. Looks like we got a winner. She's hot. And that's full power. I think it's 12.30 at the battery, so we're getting just almost full power, which is what you want. All right, scrounge around. I did find one new one in the cabinet and 2 decent used ones, 2 not so great used ones, but I'm gonna do what, you know, anybody would do, and, you know, just use one of these crappy ones and, you know, put it on the bottom where you can't see it. All right, I gotta show you this abomination of a cooling system I came up with. It's not my most proud moment, but it will work, I think. We'll start down here on the lower hose. This was the old upper hose off the 2.5 that I don't know, cut it and sort of finagled it in, and you see it did reuse one of the hose clamps from my grandpa's shop that we found. We got an upper hose installed. I got that adapter widget put in. Found one fitting in my cabinet that fit here, matched up here, so we've got our steam port going down to our little tube there. Upper hose, this is a stock truck upper hose off like your, you know, your Silverado, you know, that kind of deal, 01, 02, 99, 03 through there. Just cut a little bit out of it. It's got a little bit of a, it's not a kink, I wouldn't call it a kink, but it's a little bit of a bow there and there, not bad. This will be under pressure though, so I'm not too worried about that. More old hose clamps, because that's how you know it's a budget build. Got a little maybe rubbage here, so we took the piece out and we, you know, made a little buffer there. Oh, and we got our line ran here for our coolant overflow. Of course, we're using the stock one because it doesn't leak. I tested it, I left it overnight full of water and it didn't leak, so we're using it. And I had some fuel line here because I didn't want to buy anything else. That's what I had, so I just used 3/8 fuel line. What else? Ooh, we need to get a zip tie on that guy. That's a loose. Remind me to put a zip tie on that here in a minute. Yeah, that's the cooling system. I think it's all in. I think everything is, I think it'll hold water. That's a start. Got the ridiculously long clamps too. Another telltale sign of a budget build. Cap will come on and off. That's a good thing. Next up, I'm gonna try to get this hold down kit put in. This pot metal NHRA approved hold down clamp. That way we're legal if we want to race. Plus, we don't want this battery coming out. Bad things happen when batteries come out. Safety squints engage. Alrighty. There we go. Cleaned up. Okay, batteries installed. All right, today with the S10, I think we have got to get our fuel lines and our transmission cooler lines done. I think I've been putting it off because I hate messing with AN fittings. For some reason, they're always a pain to get together for me. We got our fuel cell over here. I think I showed you. We got our 10-gallon jobber there. Still got to figure out this, oops, the sending unit. Shows empty at half a tank. So anyways, that's, you know, we'll work on that. Here's our filter. We're just using like a GM, I don't know, what is this, 90s, 80s probably style filter with these adapter fittings, O-ring style, you know, kind of, I don't know what you call them. Adapter fittings, I'll link all this stuff in the description, like the fittings and all the crap I used here. This is just AN6. We're just gonna run AN6 lines. Normally I probably would have just ran rubber line, but I do want to take this thing down the track and race this thing some. That's kind of the whole point of building it at some point down the line. So all that stuff they usually require, you know, all the rules, you got to have braided or solid lines. So we're going to go ahead and do braided everything. That way we are in compliance. Here's our pump I use. This is a Basically a Carter P4070, except it's not. It's a China pump. You see it's a 4 to 6 PSI. I looked this thing up. It says you don't need a regulator with it, so I'm gonna run it without a regulator and see how it goes. We may need to put one in it. Also running this thing with no return for right now. We'll need to put one in there if we get to driving it in hot weather situations where we're idling a lot, but I think it'll be okay as is like that with no regulator for now. Trax flow, something like that. Chinese version. You know, it comes with this handy mounting tab. It says, you could drill holes by pasting this paper to the mounting place for a better alignment. Note, the pump has been tested for shipment, capitalized shipment. There might be some testing fluid residue, which is normal. Okay, so we are supposed to glue this to the frame rail, I guess, to mount the pump. Okay, we got it. Anyhow, transmission kit came with some fittings and the other kit came with some fittings. So we're gonna kind of have a hodgepodge of colors here. What else we got? Oh, we got, had to order the correct, these are 1/2 inch, I believe. They're like a flare, inverted flare fitting for the GM radiators. These kits all come with MPT fittings for the radiator. None of these are MPT, so. Anyways, that's what we got on our fittings, and let's see if we can get this thing installed. Stick it. No, I guess we gotta cut a hole in our bed. I hate doing it. I hate it. I don't like it one bit. It's not me. I don't like doing that stuff. I suppose centered is probably a good idea, right? And maybe one day we'll get the battery like over here somewhere, I think is the plan. Right now the plan was to do it cheap. So we just put it back in the stock mounting location with some junkyard cables. Scooch that way probably a couple inches at least. Golly. Probably should do something about that. 'Cause I'm sitting here having some fun, drunk and on the run. I'm sitting at a bar on the inside, waiting for my ride on the outside. He broke my heart in the trailer park. So I jacked the keys to her father's car. I can't get my AC unit out of the way. Yeah, there we go. Should just blow some air over there for a minute, buddy. Okay. I'm gonna assume these work the same way as they do on the big trucks. And which one of you is offer? Not that one. Not that one. None of you? None of you. Neither one. None of you. Really? We don't do that on S10s. Huh. Well, how am I supposed to? I guess we'll just do it this way. Okay, now that works. Couple more cuts. Oh, hey, there's a cross member there. All right, I guess now that we have verified our hole is sufficient, we will go back to the flap attack, clean it up, and put a coat of paint on here to, you know, preserve, protect. Hate for this to rust away in the salty roads of San Antonio. Nope, not a lot of salt here, except on your beans and rice, which I do like. And y'all got good Tex-Mex? I think we got the best here. Well, take that back. I lived in Houston for a while, and I don't know, it's a tough one. That ought to keep from having anything that'll just tear your arm off. So we'll start there. All right, let's put a paint job on it. Shake it like a salt shaker. Shake it like a salt shaker. Okay. Let's see. Let's go black with the 2X first. Kind of, you know, make sure our fuel pump wire is sufficiently painted. Get our frame here, make it easier to get to. Paint right over all that dirt. Helps that paint really bed in good. Gives it that texture you're looking for. That's what you want. Okay. And I have a very custom color I had mixed for, no, I didn't have anything mixed. This is a GM Corporate Blue DE 1608. This would be engine paint for your 70s, I guess late 70s, early 80s, 77 to 81 2 GM engine. Anyways, let's get our masking so we can mask our frame off here. All right, we've got our masking tape here. Just kind of lay that guy right in there. Just a light dusting here. Completely the wrong color, that's what you want. Probably would have been better with black. Okay, noted. But it's not gonna rust, so we're gonna tape this off here. There we go, a little tape on there for you. Perfect. Yep, okay, it's good. And for everybody at home wondering, that is not a permanent solution. I may be doing some hackery on this one, but I am not a total hack. Plan on doing a spray-in bed liner in this thing. So we're just gonna get this mounted up, make sure we've got everything fit, get our fuel system ran done, get this thing to where it'll run and drive so we can get it in, get it out of the way. And I'll come back on a later video, don't you worry. And we'll, you know, we might knock a dent or two out of here, out of these wheelhouses. And straighten that header panel and do a little cheapy spray on bed liner deal. All right, let's drill some holes. Pilot hole, pilot hole. All right, oh Christmas tree, how your bit drills so freely. Christmas tree drill bit may just be the best invention yet. I know the helicopter and electricity and those things were important, but not as important as the Christmas tree drill bit. Did anybody invent electricity or did they just discover electricity? I feel like discover is probably the right word for that one. I don't think Ben Franklin invented it. Let's see, maybe he did. Pretty smart guy. All right, it is installed. I think that's gonna turn out work pretty good, all things considered. It's squared up in there pretty good. That's not too, it still looks crooked to me, but I guess it's because the little truck's kind of leaning. But it measured centered, so I guess we'll go with it. Not too big of a hole. I hate doing that, I really do, but you don't really have much choice on these. Working on the AN lines now. Haven't really been filming that because it's mostly just me cussing. I've got apparently some cheap fittings and they kind of suck and they're making my life, I think miserable would be the right word, but we're getting there. We got this guy made here and then the main line that's going to run down along the frame, and you can see up there maybe to the fuel filter, and then it's attached there, and we'll clamp that all up, and then it goes up and over the top of the bell housing. Let me show you that. Fuel line routed up the back, and we'll run that here to our carburetor, put a 90-degree fitting on it, and we'll be dialed. Take a look here. I don't have it on there yet, but carb sitting on there. Just tested it with air cleaner I had, another Advanced Auto Parts weird coupon special. Got this for like 40% off or something, so I snagged it. Brand new. Same with this carburetor. I got this thing for like $260 something on their website. On the same deal, same day. Brand new. It's a 1406. It is, you know, it's not what we need really for this truck. It's not enough, it's only a 600. So this may not be ideal, but it's enough to have a lot of fun and it's paid for. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Anyways, we'll get this guy bolted down. I tried to put a 1-inch spacer on it because I had one left over from another project I didn't use. So thought, you know, that'd be good with this intake, right? Don't they say spacers are good for horsepower no matter what? To give us a little longer runner, but they won't clear the hood. So just set the hood on. Tried this air cleaner and another, I've got an Edelbrock ProFlow air cleaner I got for same sale. I think I paid $1 for it or $2 for it. Ridiculous. It had like 90% off sale on it. So I got it that day. Tried that one, no go. It's the same height as this one from the base to the top. So I think it's like right at 3 inches. So wouldn't fit, but this one or the ProFlow will fit without the spacer. So I already tried that. You guys, let me know what you think. Get down there in the comments. Let me know which one you like better. Here's the Edelbrock. Get your peepers on it. Take a gander. And that's the Edelbrock ProFlow. Kind of got a little more of a street rod kind of thing going on there. I don't know. Kind of neat. I don't know. It's got some mesh and some chrome and some stuff. Not something I'd traditionally go for, but for like $2, yeah, I'll take it. I'll use it. So anyways, let me know in the comments, which one would you rather run? Or which one would you rather see me run on this? Which one looks better? I know which one I like better, but I'm open to suggestions. If you can't find a right wrench, find a crescent wrench. Stop while I'm ahead. All right, well that's done. Here we are again. Welcome back to the bottom of the truck. Just wrapping up fuel pump wirings in here. These bushings, I ain't gonna lie, they don't look too good on these leaf springs either. Kind of had avoided looking at that till now. All right, we got a ground wire, a hot wire, plumbed, wired. I guess the real test now is to hit the key and see if it makes noise. There we go. We got pumpage. Horn blows, does the driver? That was a that was a bit of a harrowing experience. Okay. Didn't script that one. Not that anything I do is scripted, but I certainly didn't try that one. Well, I regret to inform you that you missed me wiring up the electric choke. It's pretty complicated stuff, but I do want to just check and make sure we're getting power. I did not check that circuit. Guess we do need key on. Here's something. Key on, let's see. Yep. I got 12 on it. Yeah, she's working. Well, let's see if we can go ahead and get some oil on this thing. You know, I could just fill it up, but I'm like, well, I have the tools to go ahead and try to somewhat prime this thing, so maybe we should prime it. That's where our garden sprayer comes in. And let me show you this contraption here. This is a HDX Home Depot weed sprayer. Basically, I just cut the end off of this. Got a barb adapter widget to some clear hose so I could see the oil. And I got a metric fitting for the front oil galley block off plug thingy here. You take that plug out, put this guy in here in this barb fitting and prime her up. And ideally you'd spin the motor over a few times, letting the bearings move to reset and to fill up. So I don't know, we'll try it. This one, is it important? Probably not, but we got the tools, so we might as well try it. There we go. Whew, she's tight. I don't think that one's ever been loose since about 2002. That was a good year. That was a time to be alive. Nickelback was rocking. Creed was still cool. Well, Creed's cool again. But still, time to be alive. Puka shell necklaces. I mean, Jinkos. Who didn't have a pair of Jinkos? I got your frosted tips. I never did the frosted tips. All right, okay. I just throw that in hand tight for now. We'll see if it leaks probably. Little 5W30 all mile coverage, conventional, super tech. That's the flavor we're going with for this high performance engine. And I'll give you one guess as to why. And if you had superior performance, you'd be wrong. If you'd have, it was the cheapest I could buy, you'd be right. On the hatch. There we go. If you can see that. And you can use these right out of the, just cut the sprayer wand off of them. But the clear hose is just so I can see the oil, essentially. And you can see what's going on down here. Maybe we'll just work off, the assumption that if we get one to pump up, then they're all pumped up. You can see the oil kind of oozing out of there and oozing down the side of the rocker arm. So we're pretty close. Alrighty, we got, just a little bit over 3 quarts, I think. Let's see, this was a 5-quart jug, now that's reading 3 over 2, I put in 1, so over 3 quarts in with our pump sprayer. So we'll just go ahead and top off the rest here. Good morning. Today is hopefully the day we're gonna try to start this LS. I already got the oil in it, primed it, it's good. We got 20 PSI on the gauge, so we should be good to go on that. Still need to put transmission fluid in it. And coolant, well, in this case, I'm just gonna put water in it because we do wanna take this thing, and race it some, and we can't have antifreeze in the system that you're gonna take down the quarter mile. So we're just gonna put water in it for now. We do have to get transmission fluid in. I did get the Chinese dipstick in after a somewhat lengthy battle and swapping out the O-rings that came with it, and hopefully it works and doesn't leak. We'll see. Only one way to find out, right? But what I got now is this fun contraption. This is our, what is this? We've got our OEM Tools air vac coolant refiller kit. I'll put a link in the video description if you want to pick up one of these bad guys from Amazon, but I'll show you what this does first. These LS's, at least for me, I had hell with this trying to get this damn thing to purge on my my other truck, and I ended up having to get one of these kits to do it, to get it to fill. I didn't try the hold the radiator hose up above your head and stand on one leg, and I didn't try that, but that probably would work. But this thing has got a steam port attached to it, and I got stuff zip tied everywhere now, and I got the tool. Let's use the tool, right? Another good reason to use one of these things is you can pull a vacuum on your cooling system and let it sit and see if it loses any pressure. That'll give you a pretty good idea if you got a leak somewhere, you didn't get something tight, you left something off, you got a plug out somewhere. It'll tell you, it'll find it. So I'm gonna get some of the finest distilled water out of the tap here in a minute, but yeah, let's see what we can get. And I may have to turn the lights off here because you're not gonna believe this, but I don't have enough electricity out here to keep all this stuff going without tripping the breaker if the air compressor kicks on. So let's see what happens. All right, and open this guy. You should see the hoses start to collapse, if I recall correctly. I can feel it. It's basically at this point, sucking all the air out of the system. Yeah, I can start to feel them getting tight. Just make sure you've got this tight. So essentially what you're doing is this fits down into one of these rubber bushings. It comes with a bunch of these guys to adapt to whichever size neck radiator you have. You fit that in there, whichever one fits the tightest. Stick this guy in there, turn it. It spreads it out, and it clamps tight during that process. Let me turn this off preemptively before we mess it up. And as you can see, you probably noticed that already, it's collapsed the radiator hoses, top and bottom, which is what you want. It's pulling all the air out of the system. You can kind of give a squeeze on some of these parts here. Anything left, and read your gauge. They say, I think this is supposed to go to 24 on the gauge, give or take. And depending on what kind of air compressor you have, it may take a little while. I just have a little 29-gallon, 2.5 horse or whatever. So I don't have a big shop, 60-gallon, 80-gallon, two-phase, two-stroke, whatever compressor. So mine runs a little bit slower. It's creeping up. It's about, what is that, 21? So we're getting there. So I'm gonna step out, grab some water, and I'm gonna let this kind of do its thing for a minute. And we'll come back and check on this here in a bit. Watch what happens. See, our gauge is rising, but I really didn't want to go past about 20, 21. Just something of note here. We'll go ahead and let it get about where I saw it before. Okay, we'll go ahead and shut the valve, shut the air, and we see our gauge here. Yeah, starting to drop, right? And if you listen closely, you can hear it rust. No, I'm just kidding. That was the Buick. Get in there. Actually, I guess I got to get in there. I'm wearing the microphone. Hear that? So somewhere in one of these 19 threaded fittings, we got a leak. There you go. I don't know, if nothing else, that's one benefit of using something like this is it'll tell you right away you got a leak. So that would have showed up, and I would have had to fix it and probably would have made a mess in the process. Luckily, this is just going to be water, so and hopefully that's an easy fix. But if you got coolant in it, if you're dumping it all over the place, you know, it's worth something to think about anyways. Let's check and see if the fuel pump's pumping. Sounds like it. Sounds like it's got a load. All right. Give her a couple pumps here. Yep. Yep. We got that. Okay, we got fuel. Well, I guess the time's come. Let's see if it will at least start. We can't run it for very long because we don't have any coolant in it. I looked at the MSD. It seems to be connected, seems to be alive. I don't know what I'm doing with it, so I just left it alone, put it on one of the default settings. So let's see what happens. Hopefully engine noises. Here goes nothing. Ignition on, pump on. Probably got enough there. Woo, she started for a second. Turn the idle up on this thing a little bit here, but that's a successful first start, I think. All right. I'm sure this carburetor is turned way down for a cam like this. Going live. Well, I'll call it a success for now. We got it started. It runs. It sounds like it's going to be rowdy. Definitely got some tuning to do, stuff to play with it to get it to idle better. I got to figure some of that out. This is all new for me, figuring out how to do this stuff. So we'll work on that. We've got the issue with the coolant system to work on. Just a bunch of little things to kind of, you know, tie it all together, button it up. We got throttle linkage to do, fuel sender, that kind of stuff. Just little things and to get it closer to being drivable. So that's going to be it for this one. Appreciate you guys very much for coming back for part 2 of the LS Swap S10 build. It is it is alive, I guess. Part 3 will be some of that stuff maybe we'll probably show. I got brakes for it. We got to do front brakes. It needs everything. The pads are shot, the rotors are shot. And what else? We got to do exhaust on it yet. I got an exhaust kit somewhere around here for it, so we got to get that done. Just a bunch of little stuff on it like that. We've got some paint work to do. I got a new roll pan for it for the back I'm going to put on it, kind of clean up the back area a little bit. I'll probably do a spray-in bed liner at some point. Just unbolt that fuel cell, take it back out, and go through and do the bed liner on it to make it look a lot neater there. And then we'll get out and we'll get the buffer after this thing and kind of bring some shine back to it. And I got a few of the little surprises to kind of, you know, make her nice. So anyways, I think that's going to do it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Go sign up, go get on my Instagram if you kind of want to get some updates in between. I'm going to get better at doing that stuff. If you guys want to like, subscribe, do all that stuff, that really helps out the channel. It's growing a lot. I think we just hit 1,400 subscribers today, which is wild. So, but anyways, I appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one. All right, just real quick, last update. Messed with the idle circuit. It was turned down to like a turn when I was monkeying with it, so I turned it back up about 2 turns out. And we changed one of our computer settings to enable the idle timing control, and seems like it's idling a lot better. Don't know that it's perfect, but it's a lot better. So here you go, one last time.